Hey, what's up? SammyPunk87. So if you guys watched my last video, I mentioned that I had to redo my scene. I had mentioned how there were lots of polys in my scene, lots of geometry. And if you come from a 3D artist background, you know that lots of polys, especially in a game, means disaster. Not all of us have the best computers on the market, and I personally work on a notebook PC. Too much data, too many objects in the scene means a very slow computer. And especially when developing games, you want your geometry to be as simple as possible while giving a good texture. So what that means for us developers, we had to figure out how to give you the best quality game in the simplest way possible. And as you can see here in my scene, I'm working with a lot of objects, and more objects, more lighting, more textures means more computations, more data that the computer has to register. The more complicated you make your scene, the more data your system has to compute. And that could cause very slow rendering times. The typical game is set to run at 60 frames per second. That means for each second you play a game, 60 frames is being rendered. So it is very important for us developers to keep the scene as simple as possible, while making the game high def and immersive. And to do that, we use high quality textures and provide plenty of good lighting. But these textures and lights can make the file size even larger and can make longer rendering time, so we are pressed to find alternatives to just making a very complex scene. And one of my problems that I discovered was I was using way too many lights in my scene, so when my game blacked out on me, I had no idea what was going on. And come to find out, I just had way too much light data going on that the scene just blacked out. So I had to find an alternative. And being kind of a newbie game developer, I'm constantly learning new things in 3D game development. And just very recently I learned about a technique called baking. Especially you set up your scene, you set up your lighting, your objects in the scene, your textures. You're basically imprinting the color and light data to the image itself, so that you don't merely have a simple texture. You have an imprinted copy of the lights and effects in a single image, and you can use that image instead of using a complex scene. And what this means is that we can window a scene in what is called Cycles window, make the scene as complex and as immersive as we want, bake that onto an image, go into the game engine, and just use that baked image on our objects. So in the end, we get the best of both worlds. We get a simple scene, but we get in an immersive environment. Sadly, as a newbie indie game developer, I did not know of this until very recently. But I plan on implementing this into the game, so what that ultimately means is faster gameplay. I have gotten the game back to its original state, but I have so many more plans for the game. My original intention for this game was to develop a game where I would take my character, in this case Holly, and record myself in game exploring a vast, open, immersive environment, and create a series out of it here on my channel. That is still the plan. I just come to realize how much work it actually is, how much time is required developing this game. But I'm hoping with this new knowledge, I can get videos out to you guys faster, and hopefully I have gameplay for you guys here soon. I have a lot of stuff planned for you guys, and hopefully my game will be better, run a lot smoother. I mentioned this before, I had a YouTube user suggest that I put a Pie-Show table in my game, and I told them that I would look into the legality of that, and I would try to figure out the dynamics of putting a something like that in my game. It's kind of like putting a game within a game. Kind of a fascinating idea, and I am totally planning on doing that. I don't know if I could post it to YouTube, but I would definitely try to implement it in game. I apologize to you, I haven't been able to look into it. I've been very busy with everything else, but I am still planning on implementing your idea. I'm just very busy trying to figure this thing out. But I have recreated the scene. Everything is pretty much in place, and it shouldn't take too long for me to implement that into my game. So hopefully I have it out for you soon. I have thought about what I would call my game. I don't know if it's really important I have a name for the game, but I figured I'd have one anyway, and thought about naming it after my character Holly. But you know, in my opinion, if you're going to have a game named after a character, you would have to have a storyline based off of the story of that character that the game has to kind of revolve around. I would like to hear your thoughts and your opinions on that. But as of right now, that is kind of the name of my game. I would like to figure out a story to use in my game. I like the idea of story flow. You know, when I write my own stories, I like to have a backstory. Or if I have multiple characters, I have a backstory for each character. And I generally try to create like a solid storyline, and I have the flow of the story figured out before I start writing the story. Just a general idea of what events will take place along the story flow. And that's kind of what I want to do with this game. I love movies and games with a great storyline, a great story flow. And I would love to implement that into my own game. I would love to do it in kind of a way that it's an open world immersive game, and you have a great storyline to go with the game. Now it's kind of hard to balance the two. Games like Zelda and Skyrim, they try to balance the two, and they do a very good job. I would kind of like to do something like that. But kind of like an open story kind of like thing. You have games like Grand Theft Auto and the Saints Row games, which have an open world that you can go and do whatever you want, and they try to implement a story flow as you go through your missions. Stuff like that I enjoy. I love that flow between vast immersive open world and a great story to go along with it. Ultimately, I want to create a gameplay experience that you guys will enjoy. If I could get you guys' feedback, that would help me immensely. Let me know what kind of gameplay videos you like to watch, whether it be in a Let's Play or any other kind of playthrough video. So if you like this video or want to help me out, please click on that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Leave your comments below. I would love to hear from you. And hopefully I will have gameplay video for you guys very soon. So until next time, this is AnimePunk87. See y'all later.